Okay, so in the envelope storage, right, that cluster of, as I said, paper clips earlier, basically it's like memory flags. So it's things that have happened that have stuck with you. A lot of times we tend to remember the bad, right? In a sense, that's a good thing if we're willing to address those things. If we know how to address those things, and most people don't know how to address those things. They could sit for hours talking to a therapist about one thing, and that one thing really isn't at the core of what their issue is. And so memory flagging, basically, the issues are easy to identify. It's the boss coming in and yelling at you because you made a mistake. But they're usually not the result. They're a result, they're not the cause. So often they're stored in that envelope that was manufactured by the mind to correlate these flags to the primary event. So these things are related to this thing, and in a sense it keeps repeating because it wants you to expand and grow and address that particular thing that's still charged. So eliminating these, like I said earlier, removing these little paper clips, removing those memory flags out of the envelope will help you to eventually get to that primary event so that you can do heart restoration on that issue. Again, if you can do heart restoration on the memory flags themselves, on those events that occurred as a result of the primary event, it will get you closer. It is a little bit longer of a process, but when you're kind of, if you're looking, for a needle in a haystack on the issue and you can't quite pin it down, it's okay to do it that way, and sometimes that will actually still take out that primary event, believe it or not. Sometimes it's very simple to make the shift because our subconscious mind does remember everything, and it does have these connections, and so if you identify this thing out here, sometimes you can actually clear the primary event just by identifying that. In some cases, though, we need to be able to have a deeper understanding and a conscious awareness of an event so that we can make use of that in our day-to-day lives. And I think certain primary events can be released in a more broad way, releasing the memory flags or the other events, the small events that are spin-offs. But in some cases, when it's something that we really need to understand on a deeper, more aware level, we have to do that work and dig down to the primary events so that we can have a deeper understanding, because it may have a real impact in our life and it may help us change course. It may be very important for us. So often there are large and small memory flags, large and small events, some of which may seem large enough to be a primary event. Sometimes people think, oh, it's definitely got to be this, and then they find out, oh, whoops, it goes down another level. So if the restoration process fails, let's say you get to this thing and you think it's got to be this is a big deal. It might be a big deal, but it still may not be the primary event. And so, if you still are having an issue, after you swear you've got it, you're going to have to drill down a little farther. If that feeling is still showing up, if people are still yelling at you, then you haven't quite gotten to the primary event yet. So you just continue to drill down, and you're going to use what I call the diagnosis of protection. And so that's basically what you're going to do, diagnosing, through how you feel, and trying to identify using muscle testing exactly when these things first showed up for you, so that you can get rid of them, and using the heart restoration process. In some cases it might even bounce you to another primary event issue. So it's the mind is kind of an interesting thing. It tends to build off of itself, and so when we're little and we have these events happen, these charged events happen, and then it just creates kind of a snowball effect. So that's basically memory flags. So what I call memory flagging is basically kind of that clustering effect of all these different events. It's these little events that kind of cluster to this charged primary event.